Let's move on to the next question. The next question says, you're choosing between the two goods, X and Y, and your marginal utility from each one is shown above. Enter your answers as whole numbers. If A says if your income is $9 and the price of X and Y are $2 and $1 respectively, what quantities of each will you purchase to maximize utility? X equals blank units, Y equals blank units. So we're given this question here. We have units of X, we have marginal utility for each unit of X, you have units of Y and marginal utility of units of Y. Now remember, because there's a price difference between X and Y, we need to be able to compare this in an apples to apples way. And to do that, we need to do marginal utility per dollar. If the price of X is $2 and the price of Y is $1, we simply divide marginal utility by price. For Y, that means it stays the same, right? Because it's already $1. So 18 divided by 1 is going to be 18, 16 divided by 1 is going to be 16, and so on and so forth. For marginal utility of X, you're going to get a slightly different graph here. So for units of X, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm not sure what's going on with this pen. 6. And so for marginal utility of X, we have 23 as a marginal utility divided by $2, right? Because that's our price, and we get 11.5, right? For 2, 16 divided by 2 is 8, 12 divided by 2 is 6, 8 divided by 2 is 4, 4 divided by 2 is 2, 2 divided by 2 is 1. And so this is our marginal utility per dollar. And this is how we're going to determine where we would spend given these prices and given our income level. And so in order to spend optimally, we want to buy the amount of units that we are allowed to buy within our budget that also make the marginal utility per dollar for good X equal to marginal utility per dollar of good Y. This is our utility maximizing condition. Marginal utility of good X per dollar is equal to marginal utility of good Y per dollar. That's what we want to make equal. So 11.5 is not equal to anything here. 8 is equal to something here. And let's take a look at what would happen if we were to consume 2 units of good X and 5 units of good Y. We would spend $2 per unit on the good X, so $4 total. And we would spend $1 each for 5 units of good Y, or $5 total. And that adds up to $9, which is perfect because that's how much money we have to spend. And so the correct answer here is that because we've reached our our utility maximizing condition of 2 units of good X and 5 units of good Y for a marginal utility per dollar of 8 each, right? The consumption bundle that we choose would be 2 units of good X and 5 units of good Y. Let's take a look at the previous year's answer. And so they said that total utility is maximized when the marginal utility per dollar of X is equal to marginal utility per dollar of Y. That's what we said as well. This is satisfied when X is equal to 2 and Y is equal to 5. The total cost is 2 times $2 and 5 times $1 equals 9. The budget is exhausted. And so there are other options that might work as well, but that would exceed the budget. And so the correct answer is 2 and 5. Next says, what total utility will you realize? So for total utility, what we're doing is we're adding up the marginal utility for every single unit of good that we purchased, right? And the sum of marginal utility gives us total utility. So if we purchase 2 goods of unit X, first unit of good of unit X that we purchased gave us 23 units of utility, right? Let's write this down, 23. And the second unit that we purchased gave us 16 units of utility, and that's 23 plus 16. And then for good Y, the first unit gave us 18 units of utility, the second gave us 16, third gave us 14, fourth gave us 10, and fifth gave us 8. And so these are the 7 units we purchased total, right? The first 2 are our units of X, 23 and 16 for our marginal utility, and the last 5 are 5 units of Y. And added all together, we get our total utility. So what is the correct answer here? So 23 plus 16 is going to be 39 plus 18, 57. Why don't we just type this in? I'm not going to try to do this all in my head. 23 plus 16 plus 18 plus 16 plus 14 plus 10 plus 8 Make sure I type it all in, 23, 16, 18, 16, 14, 10, and 8. And we get 105. So 105 is going to be the total utility that we realize at this consumption bundle, right? And so let's take a look at what the previous tutor has said. Previous tutor said, total utility is equal to 2 times 16 plus 5 times 8, or 72. And so again, I think this is where there's this, the previous tutor got it wrong, right? Like, because we've produced, we don't have constant marginal utility, and because we've purchased multiple units, we have to add up the previous levels of utility in order to get the total utility. We can't simply just multiply the last unit of marginal utility and use that and say that's the utility we got from every single unit, because we know marginal utility is different for every unit. So for B, we can say the correct answer is 105. We have to add up all the marginal utilities from each good that was purchased in order to get the total utility. The first two units of X gave 23 and 16 utils, while the 5 units of Y gave 18 plus 16 plus 14 plus 10 plus 8 utils. In total, this consumption bundle of 2X and 5Y gave us 105 utils. And that's going to be the correct answer here. Okay, let's take a look at question C. Assume that other things remain unchanged. The price of X falls to $1. What quantities of X and Y will you now purchase? So now we don't have to use this, a little graph that, a little table that I made, because the marginal utility of X is now exactly the same as the unit marginal utility of X, right? The marginal utility of X divided by the price of X is just marginal utility divided by 1, the same way it is for marginal utility of Y. So we're again looking for a circumstance in which we have the same, the same marginal utility for both goods, and we use up our full budget. So for 23 marginal utility of X, we see none of that match on the Y column, so we can say that's not going to be one of the elements of our final consumption bundle. For 16, we see that it does match up with the units for Y, and so we can say 2 units of X gives us 16, costs us $2, and 2 units of Y costs us $2 as well, and that would be $4 total. But remember, we have $9 to spend, and so this is a consumption bundle where we're indifferent between more units of good X and Y, but we have more money to spend. So let's see if we can match up to something else. For 3, we say that 12 is not equal to any of these goods, so that might not work. 8 matches up to the 5 units of Y for 8 as well, so we can say we spent $4 in units of X and $5 in units of Y, and that adds up to $9, and that seems to be the best bundle here. So the final answer for us should be 8 units of good X and 5 units of good Y, because we finally, again, found that utility maximizing point, or marginal utility per dollar, is the same for both goods. And so 4 units of good X and 5 units of good Y is our final answer. So C says X equals 4, Y equals 5. Another option would be X equals 2 and Y equals 2, but in such a case, total cost will be lower than the budget of 9. And so that's going to be matched with what we said, and the final question says, using the 2 prices and quantities for X, derive a demand schedule, a table showing prices and quantities demand for X. So we have price on the first column, quantity demand on the second column for X. We had a circumstance where it was 1 and we demanded 4 units, and we had a circumstance where the price was 2 and we demanded 2 units. And so that's going to be our fully filled in demand schedule. And let's take a look at what the previous tutor said, and they also said 1, 2, 4, 2. So good. I think we're all in agreement here. We're going to mark the solution as incorrect just because we disagreed about answer choice B, but overall, other than that, we were all in agreement there.